Ryan Poles obviously has been doing his homework. There's a report that he was doing his homework on CJ Stroud and Bryce Young. There's been talks, especially on ESPN radio and national media, that Ryan Poles may not see Justin Fields as the guy because he didn't draft him. So I ask you, Factor Cap, Ryan Poles will pull the trigger and trade Justin Fields in the offseason and draft Bryce Young or CJ Stroud.
I'm gonna have to say Cap. I think that would just be a bold decision because I don't think Justin really has any naysayers. That many. But I think that would put even more pressure on whoever took over. Because I just, like I said, Cap. I can't even wrap my head around that right now. Because to me, I think Justin is it.
Well, I don't think, like I said earlier, I don't think he'd be doing his job if he didn't kick the tires on it. You know what I'm saying? Just to see.
Well, he has the kind of posture like he might do that.
Yeah, because I think it's a negotiating tactic. Yes. You know what I'm saying?
I do agree there that he had. I do agree he kind of has the posture. It was like when the fucking 49ers tricked us into trading up for fucking Trubisky. Like, they never in a million years were going to take Mitchell Trubisky. We could have just took him and kept our fucking picks. But they, like you said, they were probably spreading rumors around like, oh, the 49ers like Mitchell Trubisky, and fucking the Bears are like, no, we like Mitchell. So, yes, I hope he does something like that. But, like I said, I don't think either of them are better than Justin Fields.
Yeah, I'm going to say big cap on that only because you see what he's capable of. Obviously, you want to see more throwing the football because no quarterback in the history of the NFL has ever won the Super Bowl and rushed for over 500 yards in a season. So you want to be able to see him throw the football. That's number one on the list. Okay, you want to see him throw the football. But I think, like you said earlier, to your point, get him an offensive line, get him a couple of wide receivers, a true number one wide receiver especially, and get a pretty good defense around him. And you never know what can happen.
Before you go into it, but I think this year, if our defense was like middle of the pack, I think we would have won fucking 7 games. So it's like they let us down. Like, we're a couple special teams fumbles and, you know what I mean, poor defense away from winning. Like, we got 3 wins right now. We could easily have 7.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, I agree. We're like, I don't like it. Justin has much to improve on.
Well, there was a statistic. I don't know if you saw it. It's been on like Facebook and Twitter and stuff like that. But there was somebody who took the records of all the NFL teams, and this is in one-loss games, like close games, one-possession games, where if it had went the opposite way of what they did, the Bears would have 10 wins right now.
That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, it was Giants, Vikings, fucking Redskins, the Lions the first times. Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. I'm half black, so I can say Redskins.
Is that how that works?
Yeah, I'm bi race, so I'm immune to all. I can say all the racial slurs. But all right, what was their next factor, Cap?
All right, so number 2, with Nathan Peterman starting, obviously the Bears shutting down Justin Fields. It kind of seems like this is a hey, let's just get everybody out there and see what they can do kind of thing. Let's get the backups out there. Realistically, it feels like a tank job. So I asked Factor Cap, the Bears need to use this opportunity and just throw Velus Jones Jr. in at kick returns, punt returns, and offense just to see what he can do.
Yeah, big facts. We can also throw Claypool's name in there. Just put Claypool, Velus Jones out on every anytime there's 2 wide receivers or more, they better be 2 of them. Like you said, Velus Jones, punts, kick returns. Like, what the fuck do we have to lose?
He's been great on kick returns.
He's been good, very good on kick returns. And like Getsy, he at times I think he's just lost his ability to drop some plays for these guys. There was a stat we saw the Bears were like the best team. We're like scored on the opening drive of like every single game this year.
Yep. Opening script has been fantastic.
Yes, I was just gonna say his opening script always goes well. But after that, they clamp down on us, and he doesn't find ways to get these guys the ball. Like I said,
well, it's also
it does not make any sense to me that Claypool only got 1 target in that
game. It's twofold because while we're the best scoring offense on opening drives, we're also the worst defense on opening drives. We've given up the most points on opening drives all season. So when your offense goes down the field and score, you're hoping your defense maybe can make a stop, get some momentum, but then they allow them to go right down the field and score. So it's kind of like hand in hand. Obviously, you want an offense that can score, but defense wins championships. Let's be real. You need to be able to stop somebody. And all the the last, I don't know who won the Super Bowl last year. The Rams. So the Rams, high-powered offense, but how did they win that game? Because it was a shootout. Their defense showed up. Aaron Donald won probably the second greatest defensive player in the history of the NFL, showed up to play in the last, drive of the game. Like, defense wins championships. So you need to have a competent offense, but at the same time, you also need to have a defense that can keep you in the game and keep it close. That way, you know what I'm saying? It goes hand in hand. You can't have one without the other. You need to have both. Even if you were to have the number one offense with a middle of pack defense, I think that's sufficient enough because your defense can make stops every now and then. But when you have a very good offense, because the Bears over the last, I don't know, 8 to 10 weeks of the season, they've been up there on offense, but they've been dead last in defense, and that's resulted in losses. So they need to work on that too in the offseason. Let's not just focus on the offense. I know both of us know that. I'm just hoping that Ryan Poles knows that as well. Number 3, we talked about Chase Claypool a little bit. Obviously, the trade has not worked out the way we have wanted it to. You would have thought that maybe there was a game this season where we would see something where they would force feed him the football, and it hasn't happened.
Yeah.
So I think it's a little bit of a timing issue. So I asked Factor Cap, Chase Claypool this offseason needs to be Justin Fields' best friend.
That's big facts. I think, like I said, Velus Jones, I mean, he's on the roster, so he better jump out there too, because that's probably the only, if he doesn't go crazy in this last game, he's probably getting cut. So he better be on Justin's hip too. Maybe that'll be something that'll be able to save him. But yes, Claypool, like I said, I don't know if it's timing. I definitely think one of Justin's problem is trust, and maybe that's timing as well, where it's not all on the O-line. They had that last game, they were atrocious, but there are some times where they're not. But when you're afraid that they are going to be, like I said, I can't imagine where it's like they get fucked up, they don't do their job 5 times, then the one time they do, you're expecting one of them to fuck up and you weren't ready. Yeah. So
your internal clock as a quarterback.
Yeah, it's all fucked up. But again, there are things you can work on. I'm not going to blame it all on, but it starts with the O-line. If they can't do their fucking job, he can't even think straight. But yes, it is timing. Like I said, maybe some trust where, like I said, they just need to fucking throw the ball sometimes. Like these are, and that's kind of what I like about some of the backups. I feel like they do that more often. So we'll get to see Claypool get a bunch of ball where they just run whatever play the coach calls, because they're used to being like the scout team quarterback. So they just run the play, throw the ball. They don't care if they throw interceptions.
Well, that I'm going to say facts as well. And to that point, I think one of the positives about it, having Nathan Peterman, starting on Sunday, is that he doesn't care. You saw in Buffalo, horrendous stats. Don't get me wrong, but that man is not. Say what you will about him, he is not afraid to throw the football into tight windows. He thinks he's Brett Favre when really,
I don't think he thinks he's Brett Favre. I think the coach just calls a play and he's like, "All right, that's a primary route. I'm throwing it to him." Like that's just it. Like.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the guns. He's got the gunslinger mentality with the arm of Chad Pennington. Like, yeah. He's gonna throw the ball. So he's, what I'm saying. If Chase Claypool is double teamed, he's gonna throw it up there, and he's gonna give Claypool every opportunity to catch it. It may not work that way, but at least he's gonna try, and I think that's gonna be a positive. I saw some things in the preseason, where he did pretty well. You know what I'm saying? So here's to hoping. I mean, if he throws the ball 30 times a game, 30 times on Sunday, I don't think anybody's going to complain as long as Chase Claypool gets like 10 of those targets. Velus Jones gets another, 8 of those targets. 5 to 10,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So somewhere around there.
Jet sweeps.
But yeah, he needs to be attached to Justin at the hip. Absolutely. Yeah. All right, number 4. We talked about it a little bit earlier as well. Sean Payton is interested in returning back to coaching. There's been rumors that maybe he goes to Los Angeles as the Chargers head coach, but it doesn't look like that because they're going to the playoffs. There's talks about the Raiders. There's talks about the Colts. There's talks about going back to the Saints or possibly going to the Buccaneers to kind of save Tom Brady. So I asked Factor Cap, if he's available, the Chicago Bears and Ryan Poles should look into getting Sean Payton.
I would say fact, look into it. He's just got a good track record. I think football is a lot more like a confidence thing. And it's like Eberflus just doesn't have the track record for these guys to take his advice and listen to him. I think Sean Payton's more of an inspirational guy. He'll have a better staff. But that's just not how the Bears move. So I don't think we will. But it'd be interesting to see what happens. What would he be worth? A second?
I would think so.
Yeah, so
I would think so. But
I don't know if I'd want to give up our second for Sean.
But here's the thing. How about this? With the picks that we get for trading the number 2 pick, if it comes with an extra second,
or trade with the Saints, what pick are they? You can fall back to where they're at. What are they? 9, 10? They
something like that.
Oh yeah, the Eagles. No, the Eagles have their pick.
The Eagles have their pick.
Oh yeah,
but
so no, we can't.
Like I said though, if you pick up an extra second
from
a trade, for one of the top 2 picks, you still have two second round picks.
Or they could just give us Olave and Sean Payton.
That wouldn't happen.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
But I would do it, if we picked up an extra second.
Yeah, if we found somewhere next year. I mean, if Sean Payton really doesn't want to go anywhere, like coach for the Saints, it might not be a second, it might be a third or something, just because.
Well, because
if he makes it clear, like, I'm not coaching for them, and he's like, well, they're like, well, we're not just gonna give you everything.
Here's my thing with Sean Payton, because he's building a superstar staff. That's what they're saying. He's got Vic Fangio as his defensive coordinator. Would Vic Fangio be interested in coming back to Chicago as a defensive coordinator? You know what I'm saying? I do too. And there's a very real possibility that while Sean Payton does call the plays, I still haven't heard an offensive coordinator's name. So what if he has a meeting with Luke Getsy, since Luke Getsy already has a rapport with Justin Fields in the offense? What if Sean Payton, decides maybe he does like Luke Getsy? You can retain him on your staff. Obviously, Alan Williams isn't going to work out as a defensive coordinator, but you already have the 4-3 system in play. You'd have to switch it back to the 3-4 because of Vic Fangio. But I think the 3-4 defense is more of a defense in today's NFL anyway, with how important those edge rushers are, because there's not a lot of 4-3 defensive ends that are true game changers besides Nick Bosa. A lot of the other guys that are edge rushers are 3-4 outside linebackers, Micah Parsons, even Joey Bosa, when he's healthy, TJ Watt, you know what I'm saying? All those guys are 3-4 standing outside linebackers. So I think the 3-4 defense is a better base defense anyway.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of the Tampa 2. I think the Tampa 2 is outdated. But
yeah,
I would definitely be interested in that. That's big facts for me. I really think they should look into it. I don't think it will happen because it's not how the Bears do business. Firing a head coach after one season, that's just not what they do. But this is Sean Payton we're talking about, and we did talk about the fact that, Eberflus wasn't going to make it to Arlington Heights, and a big name like Sean Payton would draw a lot of interest back to the Bears. And
they are hiring a new president. It ain't Ted Phillips anymore, too. It's the dude from the Big Ten, right?
Yeah, I forget his name, the Big Ten commissioner or whatever.
Yeah. But he's a money man, so we'll see.
I think Sean Payton also is a name that attracts marquee free agents, and that's important too. And we talked about, possibly getting